Welcome to Make Shit Happen. Our guest today is Adam Morales. Adam, thank you for coming to the show. Thank you so much for making the time and coming over here. Before the interview, I was talking to you, and you told me about how you own these. You own barbershops.
Yes.
And one thing that really intrigued me is you're a rancher. You have some cattle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And then you're a real estate investor.
Yes, sir.
And I love the cattle rancher thing because a lot of people, especially the people in my audience who listen to the show, they probably never met a real life rancher, right? Just like and you talk about like, well, what does the process look like, and really intrigued me a little bit. So tell us a little bit about this ranching thing. How does it work?
Yeah, well, first off, I want to say, Sam, thanks for having me on here, man. I remember you growing up here in Houston and seeing your commercials on TV, hearing that where low price lives all the time.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Man, I remember growing up watching that, so that's awesome. I'm actually glad to be a part of it. So as far as the ranching, man, the ranching is something that had came into as an investment for our family. We bought it as an investment for, back in 1996 and been running cattle since then. We kind of had the kind of love affair of the whole Western lifestyle, just having the acreage and doing something. My father, when he was running the barbershops back then, we were very successful in that. So he had a lot of profits left over, and he was buying smaller single-family homes. And he got to the point where he was tired of chasing around rent, trying to chase around different people, getting into this, getting that, it repairs. You know what it's like have a rental portfolio. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to sell it all. Fuck it. I'm just going to buy one big place. I can worry about that, enjoy my time. Because he grew up on a farm when he was a boy himself. He says, I'm going to do that instead. So that's what he did. So he purchased that, and then I kind of fell into it as well too. I've always have a love for animals and being out there in the open. So we're on the San Bernardino River, so we have fishing, we have hogs, we have hunting, we have deer crossing all the time back and forth, and so we raise cattle as our main income source for the ranch, and also have horses as well too.
So tell our audience how does it work? I mean, you were telling me that y'all have 90 cattle or 90 heads.
Yes.
And they're grazing. Tell us a little bit. Walk us through.
So basically, we're the beginning portions of what you would get at the grocery store to your table. So,
okay.
We have about 90 head that we're running right now, and these are the ones the mamas that are out there that are, they're with their bulls, circle of life coming across. They're having the calves. The calves are reaching about 400 to 500 pounds on their body weight, and from there, we're shipping those to our local cattle auction, and through the auction there, in the crowd, there's feedlot buyers, and the feedlot buyers are the ones that are taking them to their feedlots, growing them out to 800, 900,000 pounds to grow them out. Then those go into the slaughterhouses, and that's what you're getting out into the packages, the meat market you buy.
Now, the one that the cattle that y'all have, the calves that y'all come up with is just the regular grocery store.
Yeah, it's regular beef.
And then there's different classes of beef, right? So,
yeah, there's what is it, the kashi beef, or what is it, the Wagyu beef,
right.
And there's the grass-fed, which I can actually probably go through grass-fed because another good friend of mine, he was the one starting to do that as well too, and I just never really jumped into that. I'm kind of being more passive with this business, as far as I'm more into.
So now some of those real expensive, they have like some kind of special treatment they do.
I think there's a different treatment actually that leaves from us. We're like the very, very beginning stage.
Yeah, so you're the very beginning stage.
Yeah.
You're the one who's sending the calves, and then it goes to different places, and the way they raise it.
Yeah, the way they raise it and what they do with the meat. You're talking like the aged meat.
Yeah.
That's something they do afterwards. Just nothing special on our end.
Gotcha. Yeah. So y'all just basically got big ranch.
Yeah.
They're grazing, coming around, and then what you round up the cattle every 2-3 months, or?
Oh no, so we're usually doing our roundups every 6 months. We go through and we check our herd, we check our pregnancy rates and seeing what's open and what's pregnant, and then deciding if we need to put bulls back on them or take them off for the summer or move them around in different paddocks so they make sure we have our 90% calf crop. Give them their usual shots to make sure that they don't get any worms or diseases or anything from being out there. That's pretty much it.
So do y'all keep some of the calves, or you?
Yes, definitely.
Auction some of them.
We auction 80% of them. We keep good replacement heifers to keep the life cycle going.
Gotcha. All right. Well, so that's what the ranching business is at. Okay, and then you also have your main income source is barbershop.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us, your dad started this barbershop. You said back in '86.
Yeah, my dad was the start of Mike's Barbershop here in the Galleria in 1986. We've been in that business for a very, very, very long time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah, that's a
very good to
long. That's
us.
a long time. That's what, about 34 years.
Yeah, 34 years, sir. And then we've changed from there. We grew. I actually grew that when I took over back in the early 2000s into 5 locations. So we had simultaneously when he bought that one, Mike's Barbershop, he had bought the one in Northland Mall. I don't know if you remember Northland
Yes.
Mall there, 45 and Airline. We were inside that mall. I think 6 months afterwards, he bought this and he bought that one.
Mm.
We had those two running simultaneously. From there, we grew into 2 more, one in Rosenberg and then one out in not near Katy, but more West Houston. So Westheimer and Dairy Ashford going out that way. So we were there for a while. And then from there, we grew into Northwest Mall before they closed. And then
So Northland Mall and Northwest is closed. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you lost that.
Well, Northline Mall, I actually, when we moved from the inside mall to the open air concept, we moved with the mall. We were the last ones, the only small business that actually moved from the mall itself to their new location there on 45 is what you see now. And now I sold that business back in 2017 because I actually was focusing more on the ranching and grew my ranching business out that way. So I was like, you know what, I'm not too focused on it. Let me go and sell that business. And I focused on that more.
Okay, and what about the other locations? Did you sell them eventually, or what
Yeah,
did you
it's
do?
just kind of organically, Northwest Mall closed down, so that's just kind of one that went away too. Rosenberg one, we wound up selling that one as well too, and then the one out in Westheimer. I mean, it's the building is still there, but there's nothing there anymore in that shopping center. So we just left, over time.
It was just like the shopping center just went bad, so you probably couldn't. But then in 2017 or 2018, you bought another one.
Yeah, in 2019.
19, I'm sorry.
Yeah, February 2019. So one of my things is, I'm always, from that experience of buying, selling, starting and all that, I have a lot of experience in the barbershop game and how to run them and how to do, stuff kind of remote. So I was actually looking for another shop because I was like, well, that's my core business. I know it really well. I grew up in it, so let's look for another one. And I started out there just going through biz buy sell through all the channels, looking for a business, came across this one, negotiated with the owner, and got a good deal to acquire this one as well.
Okay, so now you have 2, the Mike's Barbershop in the Galleria.
Yes.
And in the Galleria area, and then the new one, the one you opened up, you bought in 2019.
Yes.
Why you don't call it Mike's Barbershop? Y'all have a different name to it.
Well, it's just completely different concepts. Mike's Barbershop, what my father started was more of the low budget, high volume type of haircut. So you go to Mike's, it's a $6 haircut. You get in there, you get a awesome haircut in about 15, 20 minutes, depending on, of course, wait time or whatever, however other people are waiting. 46 and 2 is completely different. I don't know if earlier I was telling you that we have like a VIP room. We give away free liquor. We have a completely different feel to the shop. So that's why when I bought it, I bought the name with it, because once you go in there, it's completely different than what I've done before. So I've always done on the more of the budget friendly side. So this is more on the high end side. Like a typical haircut there is $30. I mean, if you see me with the beard and all that, we go in there and our package is 46 and 2, kind of hence to the name, but it's a it's a nice hot towel shave, a good clean haircut, shave on the neckline, the whole work. So you really get to feel like $1 million when you're sitting there and getting that whole treatment.
Got you. So what, let me ask you, what concept do you like better?
It's hard because both have good benefits. And of course they both have their, not so good downsides on it. But, I'm more of a fan, I guess, between what we had originally started, because it had been very, very successful for us. Now, don't get me wrong. This other one, it has a very, 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 very good potential. And actually, we're working on taking this particular concept to franchise here in the next year.
Oh, nice. And what's making you want to franchise it?
It's a lot of the customers, because, they see our branding, they see the name, they see how the shop is set up, and they're asking me, is this the only location? Are there any others? Is this a franchise? They're always asking me those questions. And then when I particularly went there the first day when I was touring barbershops, because I went and toured probably about 5 or 6 of them that were on my acquisition list. Say, hey, I've talked to agents. They go look at this one, tell me what you think. And I stepped into this one, and I just felt it. Like it's, you just got to walk in, you have that gut feeling like this is the one, this is going to work. Let me do this one. That's what I felt like. Gotcha. And when I sat there and I got my services done for the first time there from the employees that were there, I felt like this particular concept was something that I could take to franchise because of the branding, because of the feel, because of the look. I said, this is what I need to do that. And I've always had this idea of franchising my barbershops, all of them, but I was something missing, I guess, that I just didn't have there. And I feel like I have it here with this one.
Yeah, I got you. And it's like the full service. And I mean, make the guys feel like, getting the guys pampered. I mean, they can't do that everywhere.
Yeah.
And you got I'm assuming you playing sports over there? Or?
Yeah, we have a projection screen in the VIP room, and it plays various things. I mean, sports, whatever's going on, news,
Whatever, current
movies,
affairs.
yeah,
Yeah, I got
current
you,
events,
got
everything.
you. And then all of a sudden, you got into real estate.
Yes.
Okay, so rancher, barbershop, now and then real estate.
Yes.
So what are you doing in real estate?
Right now, I'm just doing a lot of rehab to rental properties.
Okay.
Specifically staying out.
So you're buying these properties, rehabbing them, making them up to date, and then renting them out.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm buying them, rehabbing them, putting in the equity, renting them out, putting them in production, then rehabbing and continuing washing over.
Did you ever got in flips?
Yes. I started off flipping in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, 2015.
And then you flipped it, and then you're like, I'm just gonna keep some of them. I'd rather build wealth.
Yes, exactly.
So why? I mean, and one thing that I read on your bio is about wealth building.
Yes.
Tell me, why is it so important to build wealth for you?
I don't know if it's so much for me. It's just so much for my family, for the next generation. So one of the things that I'm doing as far as my wealth building strategies, because I've already got, I'm already in the millionaire status right now. So I'm actually making sure that I can protect that. So I'm starting to put together, my trusts, my LLCs, my things like that. Not necessarily for me, but for my next generation, for my 2 kids, for my daughter, for my son, so that can continue on. And then they can do the same thing that I did. My father taught me a lot of the things I always tell everyone that I grew up with the rich dad, poor dad book scenario. I grew up with a rich dad, not so much just with the money, but in the mindset of, if you're going to get a job, take a job for the experiences you're going to learn, for the skills you're going to learn. If there's a need that you can fill the need, find a way to create an income source for yourself and not just go out and get a job. So I grew up with that mentality all my life. And so I'm now teaching my kids that. My son sat down the other day and asked me, what is it like to be an entrepreneur? What can I do to be an entrepreneur? And I said, well, unfortunately that word is so thrown out there that, just a guy on Instagram who's got a nice car or something is saying I'm an entrepreneur when he's really not. So I sat down and broke it down to him what it actually took to become one. And I said, now you need to think about what you can do to buy and sell, to invest, to anything, to create something and bring, an idea and to create it, that you can become a business owner. You can become the actual true entrepreneur yourself. Even though he's 11, I said, you start thinking about things like that now. Guess what I was?
Absolutely. And good age to teach them that. Now you said something about mindset. Tell me, what do you mean by mindset?
Well, like I said, I grew up with the perfect influence, the perfect thing. If you read the Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that's just going to tell you exactly how I grew up. And that's very, very important because there's a lot of things that, man, a lot of people get scared of. Fear is a big driver. I know you and I think we met on Clubhouse. So I've been going on Clubhouse and I'm listening to these people, these real estate investors, and they're talking of all these scenarios they're going through and analyzing so many things and never actually pulling the trigger and doing something. But when I wanted to get in real estate in 2015, even though I saw my father have a few houses and he got tired of it and bought a ranch instead, I was like, I want to do it. But I didn't ever ask him, hey, what did you do? Or what did you do this and that? Any advice? I just picked up some books, learned the language of real estate, learned the language of money. And I started cold calling realtors, driving around the neighborhoods, finding houses for sale, calling them, figuring it out, and then cold calling hard money lenders just to kind of put everything together. And I just went out and did it. It wasn't a thought or why. I just went and did it. So I just took action and asked a bunch of questions and learned everything along the way. I literally jumped out of the plane and built the parachute on the way down. And I've done that all my life. And I've sit here and see people that have so many questions and do this, paralysis by analysis and don't ever get anything done because you're so worried about it. I just jump in and do it.
Yeah. Well, fear is a big deterrent of success.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
it is. And I tell a lot of people the reason that I'm a success is because of taking action and failure. That's simple. So,
but what gives you the confidence to do that?
It's taken a long time to get this way. It's taken a long time, but it's just failing more and more and more. It's hard. It's hard as hell to stay motivated failure after failure. But once you start getting used to it, you start realizing that the failures are lessons. Of course, we hear these cliches all the time, but it really is true. You start learning what's not working and what can work. You just begin again with the experience you had before.
Yeah, but a lot of we hear the cliches all the time.
Yeah,
you have to fail in order to succeed, and blah blah blah. Right, and failing. But man, when you fail, it really mess up with your mindset.
Yes, it does.
It really mess with your emotions. And I mean, how do you overcome that?
It's hard. It's like I was telling my wife the other day. I said, okay, so in 2015, I was flipping houses. That was doing really well. And I started flipping cows as well. That's a whole nother market in there as well. And then I started focusing more on the ranching. So from there, I kind of scaled back on the houses. I flipped 2 houses, took the money out, and then I actually bought another ranch in Waco, 700 acres. So I grew that, had 200 head of cows over there. I had another lease place in Victoria, had another, I think, 25 head over there. So we were expanding and growing. And then after that, we had the floods of Harvey. In 2017, we had a flood prior to that, I think, just the rain floods from up north coming down here. So that was considered like natural disaster number 1. So we went through a lot of ups and downs. The markets fell. So that was a big expansion outreach and putting a lot of money out there. And, it didn't go as what I had planned just because of natural disaster. So that was failure number 2. And we come through and we're sitting here with the barbershop, and we just acquired this barbershop, and we're really going really well. We're hitting it well. And then, we get deemed a non-essential business, closed for 2 months. Yeah. Sales have suffered big time. We're operating at a 50% capacity now. And we're starting to see the uptick in the business more and more now as people are getting their vaccinations and feel a little more comfortable about coming out. So that was kind of like natural disaster number 2. So I was telling my wife, I said, next business we do, we're going to have to plan for the natural disaster. So we don't have to sit here wondering what the hell. We have that plan, say, okay, this is the worst case scenario. What are we going to do so we can keep moving forward?
I mean, nobody could have planned for COVID. I mean, that's for sure.
No.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to have a strong mindset.
Yes.
Because I mean, when you go through these challenges, when you go through these failures, and when you go through, shut down a business for 2-3 months, and not being able to operate your business in a regular capacity for like 7-8 months. I mean, it's daunting.
Very hard.
Your mind start playing tricks on you. I mean, it's easy to get demotivated.
Yeah.
But one thing I always say is like, you got to be strong to continue going.
Yes.
Because nobody's going to hand it to you.
No.
If you don't wake up in the morning and you don't go to work, it doesn't matter how bad of a day you have, how much of a personal problems you have, what kind of, how much your head is hurting or your back is hurting. The difference between a successful person and a person who wants to be successful is one takes action, the other one doesn't.
Yes, and action.
And so that's good. I mean, mindset success is huge for success. Now, I'm interested and I'm intrigued because I also do some real estate investing, right?
You mentioned that.
Yeah. I read, somewhere that you took $500 and you turned it into a 7-figure real estate portfolio.
Yes.
How did you do that?
Well, so this is how it kind of turned out. What had happened was that I was looking at making a move because we had just kind of game off the whole ranching failure thing. I mean, we had scaled up to 1,500 acres, 200 head of cattle, all of that. And since the market fell out, we kind of had to scale back. So we just stayed back with the main ranch, which was 500 acres and back to about 100 head on there. And I was looking to do something different because I had sold my barbershop. I had sold the Northland location right before then to dive into this, thinking, hey, this is going to be my next thing. This is what I'm going to really strive for. I'm going to grow up to, be 5,000 acres and, 500 head of cattle like I wanted to, but the market dictated something different. It's funny how they say man plans, but God laughs.
Yeah.
So coming back from that, I was like, well, what am I going to do next? And thinking about different businesses and different things to get into. And I said, well, you know what? I learned a lot from a mentor called Dan Pena. And his main thing was QLA, which is, acquisitions. And growing up with my father and his mindset, he's bought in a lot of these barbershops. He's like, well, why would I want to start something where I'm going to be standing around forever and I can buy some sort of basis, some sort of foundation, some sort of cash flow and build upon that? So taking that idea, I just started looking out in the market and I said, well, okay, we've done barbershops all my life. I know exactly how to run them. I've been, been behind the chair, been the manager, been everything just from learning all the rest of them. So I said, let me do that. So I went through and, like I said, going through all of the regular business buying channels, found this location and went through and did all of that.
$500?
Yeah. So that time right there. So I made that decision. I said, I'm going to do this. And then at the same time too, I said, well, real estate's good for me. I've done it before. Let me do that. So I kind of threw a net out there for both of them. So the acquisition, the LOI got accepted for the acquisition of the barbershop. The earnest money contract and the sales contract for the first house that I was going to buy to get back into real estate got accepted as well too. So I had basically just closed on the barbershop, and I had this other real estate business right here that I was trying to, and they got closed on as well. So I just spent $100,000 buying that barbershop, and I was broke. Didn't have a penny to my name other than I had invested in everything, because I'm a firm believer, keeping your soldiers out there, your money out there working and running for you. So I was like, okay, well, how am I going to do? I'm not going to just walk away from this potential, $130,000 deal, and I can continue to roll it and roll it and roll it. I said, let me figure out a creative way to do this. So being in the whole ranching industry and all that, I had buddies that were going out and working cows for other people and said, hey, guy's got a trailer here for sale, a decent trailer, cattle trailer, sell it for $500. Bingo. There's my outlet. Went, picked it up, looked at it, didn't hardly need any work, didn't even do anything to it. I think maybe we connected the lights on the back, drug it home. And since I'm on Facebook with all the different forums, I took it, cleaned it up, advertised it to the right people around the local areas that were needing a trailer, sold it for $3,500. I took that $3,500 and then I went through a credit card and got a cash advance of $2,500 and took the $5,000 that I needed to close on this one particular house there, close on that house there. And then we did the whole thing like I've been doing so far, at taking, rehabbing the property, put it into rental, and then refining it. And I've done that so many times over and over and over. It's how I've kind of created my portfolio now, where I have about 10 houses and various other real estate holdings as far as agriculture as well too, and a bunch of stuff. So that's kind of created to my big portfolio.
Gotcha. So you just did some flipping.
Yeah, just do some creative financing. I think someone told me one time, and just kind of moving
going out there and making it work, making it happen.
Because like I said, I was trying to figure out what was the next thing, and I threw two things out there, and both of them hit, thankfully. Yeah. And it was one of them that was already running, and we can already apply our management style to it. So it wasn't something I had to go and dedicate 1,000 hours to just to get it going. I said, well, I know the real estate as well too. I've got, hard money. I've got all that stuff already lined up. I just needed the deal. I found the deal, but I struck on one and needed to find a resource for another, and I did that.
So you use hard money lending, and you needed $5,000 to close. So
yeah, that was what I needed to bring to the closing costs. The property I picked up for $55K. I put 20 into it. Had an ARV of 130,000. So we refied, pulled our money out that, and then I did it on the next property in the same area, then on the next property, the next property, the next property.
Gotcha, man. Hey, rolling. And that's it takes guts and courage to do that. Okay, some people, they just keep thinking, what if I can't do it?
Yeah.
But if you believe that you can do it, then shit happens.
A lot of people in that situation would be like, well, I already got this one. I can't focus on anything else. I can't do this. I can't do that. I was able to have the management staff team there and able to do this as well.
Now, you said your your entrepreneur upbringing, had a major role to play with it.
Yes.
So I mean, how was your relationship with your dad? I mean, were you going to the barbershop with him all the time growing up? I mean, tell us a little bit.
So I grew up as an only child. So yeah, I was dragged on, against my will, I guess you would say, to go. But I mean, in the forefront, it looked like that. But as I sat there, there's meetings where I've sat there when my father is negotiating to buy this or trying to do that or trying to figure out advertise or something. And I'm sitting there listening. At that time, I didn't have a Game Boy or any of that stuff to play with. It wasn't on my phone. I was just sitting there actively listening. And I guess a lot of that stuff just stayed with me. Yeah. Now when
you're a little kid, it feels like it's punishment and you hate it, right? but eventually, like I had another guest on my thing. You never realized it at that time. Yes. But I mean, 15, 20, 25 years later, you're like, you know what? I'm glad it happened.
It makes sense. You're like, oh, so that's what we were doing over. That's why we did this. And then you can, fortunate enough, I'm still have my father with me, so I can go back and ask him certain things. Like, that's, if I remember right, that's what we were doing. So it's kind of bringing that whole full circle around. That's what I do with my kids.
So when did your father step back and retired?
Step back officially in like 2003. He started putting me in play right as I got my first car. So 16, he was like, well, if you're getting a car, you're going to start doing stuff for us. Uh-huh. You're not getting it for free. So I actually put some money together to put a down payment on the car. And then he's like, all right, so the rest of it, you're going to have to work off. So I started working for him and doing whatever I needed to do and learning the business, learning just to be an errand boy. I learned to sweep hair and then learning to start managing people, how to hire, how to fire, and all of that. And then he says, okay, so now you understand the management portion of all the business and all the business takes behind that. He goes, now you need to go work behind the chair so you understand both aspects of the business. And that way you're unstoppable because you know both things.
Yeah. So you just cut it, you started cutting hair.
Yeah, I started cutting hair. I got my license, I believe, in 2005.
Okay.
Got my license there and was working at my shop. So, I mean, it wasn't a strain or anything. It was my own schedule and whatnot. So it was kind of a little lax, but I kept it as a real job and kept going at it. Tried to stick to a schedule as much as possible. It's still running the stores, but keeping there and then learning And I was pretty skillful in barbering as well too. So it was kind of a love affair for me. I liked it for a while and then just kept going.
Gotcha. Adam, you're still a young guy. I mean, you're what, 37?
37, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So what is the goal? I mean, what is the next 7-8 year goal or 10-year goal?
The next 7-8 year goals, my overall goal is to, achieve a net worth of 500 million. So that, I know we were talking earlier, that seems like a really, really big number. To me, it seems like it's a big number, but now I have to figure out all the steps to get there. I actually have to grow into a different person to even get on the path, to even walk down there to figure out how I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
So my next few things for me, myself now, is to invest more into real estate, single family homes in the area where I'm at right now in West Columbia. And then from there, I want to start attacking more of the bigger multifamily projects here in Houston. I've gotten a lot of offers, or I've gotten a lot of, offers you would say, for people wanting to sell things in Houston. And I just hasn't really been too into it because I'm kind of sticking in my niche market over there. But we're doing really well out there. So my goal is to increase my real estate portfolio and real estate business to kind of get me to where I want to go. And simultaneously as well, too, I'm a firm believer in business acquisitions, because why would you want to start anything when you can buy something that's already running? So I'm looking as well that as a bolt-on to either focus more on real estate and purchase businesses that are in the realm, because I'm doing a lot of rehab. So, something that's in construction, something that's house leveling, something painting, something like that I can buy that's already a cost on my end. So I'm already paying painters. I got paid my house level, the other guy, like $12,000 a little house. So I'm thinking to myself, man, if I would have bought the company, had that, it wouldn't cost me anything. But not only that, I can also advertise to everyone else and start making additional revenue so I can buy more properties and keep going. Yeah. So I'm thinking about doing acquisitions as far as that realm in the real estate business that can kind of bolt on to what my goal is to help me achieve that number. And then my other goal as well, too, and I know we're kind of bouncing to two things, but real estate and then barbershops is taking that 46 and 2 barber to franchise. I believe you always begin with the end. So my whole goal is to get the franchise concept going, get out there and sell the franchises and sell maybe 100 franchises. And then maybe we'd sell the whole company to somebody else who would want to, hedge fund would want to take the business because it's already cash flowing X amount and whatnot, and they can hold it better than I would. So that's kind of the end goal, is to build it up, build it really, really nice up, get the franchises out there, get it operational, and then sell off the company as well later.
Gotcha. I mean, for a young man, to have that kind of goals, I mean, it's a big overhaul. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So what, and I know you told me earlier that you're ready for the challenge, and you don't mind working and putting it out there, man.
Exactly.
That's good. Hey, I wish you good luck in doing all that stuff. I mean, it's it's still young, so I mean, you can definitely get over there, get out there and get it done. And having a good goal is always good. Now, you say you mentioned the Rich Dad Poor Dad a couple of times.
Yes.
Is that one of your favorite books, or
that's one of the books that resonated with me in my upbringing the most?
Oh, yeah?
There's a lot of different books that I've read right now.
Any ones that you would like to recommend?
Release Your Brakes by Jim Newman.
Release Your Brakes by Jim Newman.
Brakes by Jim Newman. Basically, he's talking about, you go through life always wondering what if, or kind of walking around. You kind of, on the old back in the days when you used to put your emergency brakes on in the car. You could still drive the car, but the car was slowed down. It was wear and tear, a lot of it and everything. It was hard to move. But as soon as you hit that release brake, and you just got a jolt of energy, and you're able to move up and do more things. So that's kind of creating your mind and kind of what your reality structure is. Why do you think the way you think? One thing that was favorite one they was talking about, so my daughter, I wasn't a healthy guy before. I was right at about 285 pounds, and I lost about 100 pounds.
Wow, that's great.
So I wasn't really big on vegetables. So my daughter was the upgrade in that I wasn't eating broccoli or none of that. So she had a negative connotation because I'm not eating that shit. I don't want that, when my wife would make food. So as I was reading the book, it's saying, well, the young mind is getting all of that. It's getting the negative connotation. Well, mommy likes it, but daddy doesn't. But I'm going to listen to daddy because he's the one saying, I don't like it either. So if I don't like it and he doesn't like it, why do I have to eat it?
Yeah.
So I put that rock, per se, in her mindset of why she doesn't like broccoli. So now it's been a little hard to understand that now I do eat broccoli all the time because of the health benefits. So she's starting to see that, but I'm able to start changing her mind. But that was one of the big things in the book. It's like the things that you deposit that from personal influences or outside influences that kind of stay with you, and how to change that. So how to get that different mindset to just change your mind.
That's okay. That's awesome, man. I'm probably gonna read that book.
Yeah, there's a couple of other ones that I've always that's one of the biggest ones. The last one I just read during this whole week we had off and we were trying to survive from the cold was was a book on Navy SEALs ideology on raising children, raising young men. And that kind of helped me get a different idea of, a lot of the people nowadays that need to be a little bit more rougher and tougher, need to be pushed to do things, not so much scared of being that fearful. Get out there like you would think a Navy SEAL. You think a Navy SEAL is scared of anything? Yeah, they may be, but they still have the ability within them to go out there and do it. And that's kind of the thing that I'm trying to teach my son is, yes, you may be scared, but go out there, get it done. Because once you get on the other side of the fear, everything you want is right on the other side of that.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Everything, the good thing is always on the other side of the fear, man. Where can people find you on social media?
Adam Morales on Facebook, and it's Adam1 on Instagram. You can follow all of my barbershops. We're on social media, 46-2 Barber, Mike's Barbershop. The Mike's Barbershop's in the Galleria, 46-2 is in the Energy Corridor. We're on social media that as well, and catch me there. Instagram. I've been seeing you on Instagram as well too, and myself. So it's always nice.
You said that you also were on Clubhouse. Are you on Clubhouse?
Yes, I'm on Clubhouse as well.
What do you think about that platform?
I like it and I don't like it. It's good to make connections because, I've seen you on TV all my life. I just didn't know how to reach out. I mean, I guess I could have just called and said, hey, give me your podcast. But I honestly did not know you had a podcast because you were in a room, I guess, on a podcast guest or something like that.
I don't even remember where was I at.
Yeah. I was just going through.
I went through a couple of rooms over there. I was
just going through.
It just takes too long, man.
Yeah, it does.
It takes too much time.
It is a time waster.
Yeah.
But I've learned a lot from Clubhouse. I've learned specifically from one guy, ML Billion. He was on there preaching about business credit. And taking your credit and utilizing the business credit, not so much the personal credit. So that kind of opened up my whole mind. Growing up, I knew the essence of credit. I never really had great credit because I never really did anything under my credit. Always done everything cash because our barbershop was a 100% cash business.
Yeah.
So now that I understand and can have the understanding of what actually entails by having a good credit score, and not only that personally, but utilizing it for your business, for additional loans and lines of credit. I mean, that right there is another one of my goals. How can I get to my number? Because personal credit is king. Yes.
And I mean, and then leveraging it to establish your business credit more.
Yes.
Is everything. I mean, like today, I don't guarantee any loans.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Why would you?
I mean, my business guarantees every loan.
Exactly.
But matter of fact, I was going to refinance one of my properties, one of our stores. Because we could save some money. And I had initially acquired this property in 2014. And the banker wanted me to guarantee it because that was my first property. I did it in 2014. And I said, well, I'm not going to do it because in the last 6-7 years, we have grown to, to have that thing. So I don't guarantee any loans.
Yeah.
I can go out there and get a $10 million property or get a $3 million land, put $7 billion building in it, have a $10 million loan. I don't personally guarantee it. I mean, everybody should do that because you should look into it.
There's a lot of people that don't understand it. And a lot of the Comunidad Latina doesn't understand it as well too. Because the guy that I was telling you, I just paid $12,000 to level my house. I met him because I cold called a bunch of foundation companies. And he said, the company you had called, I used to work for him a long time ago, but I left and formed my own. He said, the guy is sick. He's thinking about selling it. Blah, blah. This was a few years ago when he did that one. And he's telling me. So I met with him the other day. He's like, I bought it. I said, but what did you buy? I go, I got the name and I got this and that. I said, did you buy the LLC? Did you buy the entity? Did you buy the insurance? Did you buy any of the social? He goes, it came with everything. I don't know. I said, well, what you need to do is he goes, I have my DBA and everything. I said, that's great. Your DBA is only good in Brazoria County. You want to go work somewhere else, your name is just good there. Get the LLC. Get your EIN number. Go out there and establish those things and establish those establish those lines so you can establish a business credit. And I said, you see that excavator over there? If you need to get an excavator, you can get one at 0% financing when you have good business credit and had nothing to do with yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there's a lot to learn. I mean, if people who are getting in business, they need to learn a lot about what LLC is. First of all, I mean, there's people think, oh, if I have a DBA, it means everything.
Yeah.
DBA, that means you're personally liable for everything.
You're doing business as. You're just saying your name is doing something as a different name. That's it.
Adam, thank you for coming on the show, man. I wish I could talk even longer and we can take the show longer and have another conversation. But I really appreciate you coming. Thank you for having me. For giving us some of these tidbits and some nuggets that you dropped on us, man. We really appreciate it. And guys, if you are on Instagram, Facebook, follow Adam. Again, Adam, what is on Instagram? What is the Instagram handle?
It's Adam1. It's usually Adam1 on that and in Clubhouse as well.
All right, perfect, man. Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming. Thank you for sharing the knowledge with us, and I wish you good luck and hope you get to your goal
Yes, sir.
one day soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother.